we do have a few more awards to give out. Congrats again to Texas Roadhouse, and I'm sure these guys are going to be hanging around for a bit after the session if you want. You just want to absorb everything they know. Just make sure you find them and say hello. Before we bring up our hot concept winners, I would like to ask for Barbara Paremba, the Senior Vice President of Industry Leadership at the Coca-Cola Company, to please join me on stage. Barbara. Come on over here. Barb, I want to quickly talk about Coca-Cola and the role that you guys play with the restaurateur. You know, obviously, so much of what we talk about here at Create is tackling the myriad challenges that the restaurateur faces today. Rising costs, labor, inflation, traffic's going down. You know, considering all of these challenges that restaurateurs face, how does Coca-Cola Company strive to be a partner through that?
It's a lot to unpack, right?
It's a lot.
So at the end of the day, many of you think of us as a beverage company. Well, we're far more than that. We like to think of ourselves as a total business partner to each and every one of the restaurants that we serve. So it's bringing resources and tools to help each and every one of you grow your business and address some of the emerging trends that are going on. There's kind of 3 brand new tools that are available, and they're available at no cost to our partners and customers. One is what's called Coca-Cola Lens. So what that is an insights-based platform online that you could dig in and get data-based information to help you make real-time decisions for your own business. The second one is Coca-Cola Leader Lab, which is a frontline online training tool for not you and I, but for first-time employees that are learning about interpersonal skills, and it's really in their language, interactive, fun videos available online, Coke Leader Lab. And then the third one is our digital value bundle. So all of us are trying to figure out drive-through and integration of digital into our practices, and this helps build that muscle. Yep. All of these continue to evolve, and we continue to update the tools, but those are 3 available to all of you.
So when I think people think Coca-Cola, of course we know Coca-Cola for so many of the major national chains that you guys are partners with. But this is the event for emerging restaurateurs. How important is that audience to Coca-Cola, and how do you guys support them?
Critically important. So each and every one of you that are here that are coming up with these fresh new ideas and tons of innovation, we can learn from you, and we could all learn from one another. So as we think about the future of the restaurant industry, the reason we are so committed to Create and this partnership with Nation's Restaurant News is we want to fuel each and every one of your businesses as you continue to grow. We want to be there to partner with you.
That's very exciting. Barb, thank you so much. Thank you for the partnership with Coca-Cola. I really appreciate it. All right, I'm going to invite Barb to stand over there because we are very excited now to hand out some awards. We are going to invite our hot concept winners to the stage for a discussion on what makes these concepts so special. So first up is a Toast and Juice Cafe with 30 locations. Let's welcome the founder and CEO of Toastique, Brianna Keefe. Brianna, congratulations. Great, thank you. Brianna, come and join us on the stage over here. Our next hot concept recipient developed a full-service Asian concept with 10 locations. Please join me in congratulating the co-founder and CEO of Mecha Noodle Bar, Rich Reyes. Congratulations. Thank you. Come on over here, Rich. This is the biggest panel we do all day, so it's going to take about 20 minutes to get everybody out on stage. Our next winner is a tech-driven mini-golf entertainment concept with 18 locations. Let's congratulate the CEO of Putt Shack, Logan Powell. Logan, congratulations. Let's get out in front of the stool so we don't get the stool in this one. All right, Logan, come on over here. Our next hot concept winner co-founded a barbecue joint with 5 locations and is a James Beard Award winner. Please welcome Rodney Scott of Rodney Scott's Whole Hog Barbecue. Congratulations. Yeah, absolutely. All right, Rodney, come on over here. Next up, we have Tacombi, a taco fast casual with 22 locations. Please welcome to the stage founder and CEO, Dario Wolos. Congratulations. Absolutely. All right, Dario right over here. And finally, we have a hot chicken fast casual with 26 locations called Angry Chicks. Let's give a final round of applause to their Chief Operating Officer, Peter Tremblay. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Last but not least, right here. Dario, I'm sorry, did you want to moderate this session? Because if you want to moderate this, by all means, get in on this. Okay, guys, look at this group of leaders. We're very excited to welcome them to the stage. And what the goal is with this conversation is really to dig into what makes these concepts so interesting and so unique. And as we've talked about before, too, about what it means to be a founder of a restaurant company, I think very vital here, and we have several founders who are present. But let's start, Brianna, with you. Let's talk about Toastique. Brianna, how have you found success with a toast-based concept? What's been key to that?
Yeah, I think basically for me, how it started is I always say I'm our direct target market. I was a young professional living in Washington, D.C., and I've always led a very busy life and healthy life, and I always felt myself sacrificing health for time when I needed something quick. And, you know, there's a lot of juice bars out there, and I enjoy having that, but what I really love was toast, open-faced sandwiches, pairing good carbs with good proteins and fats and making me feel fueled and not overstuffed. And I really never saw that. And so, you know, going overseas, seeing open-faced sandwiches everywhere, tartines, whatever you want to call them, you know, we're calling them gourmet toast, but it's a lifestyle, and that's what I loved the most. So that's what I wanted to put my focus on, and I wanted to have it in the name. So Toastique is representing like a toast boutique. And then making everything in-house. So starting with our peanut butter, pickled onions, avocado smash, or hummus, everything is made in-house. So you can really taste the freshness of it. And what's really great about Toastique is we actually don't have any cooking equipment, even though we are making everything in-house. So those things that we aren't making in-house, like our bread is sourced locally. We have partnerships now, not when we first started, but now we have a partner for our granola and our coffee, and it's proprietary to Toastique. So just matching that with already a proven concept, we do cold pressed juice, acai bowls, and smoothies, just at a higher quality level, along with a full espresso menu as well. We are kind of just everyone's one-stop shop for something quick and healthy, and now you don't have to sacrifice health when you need something quick.
I know that it became obviously a joke for the millennial generation to talk about avocado toast, right?
Yeah.
And I think to the point of saying, you know, oh, well, it's just a trend, but I mean, hey, avocado toast is not that bad, right? How do you trend-proof Toastique and make sure it's not living and dying by some of those kinds of trends?
Yeah, I think the word toast is probably a little trendy, but the brand that we're building and the products that we're serving are not a trend. It's a lifestyle. We always say it's the Toastique lifestyle, you know, and just leading a healthy life. And Toastique's very appealing and welcoming to people who are deep into their wellness journey, but also people who want to start out, you know? So if you have dietary restrictions or allergies, we can make anything gluten-free, vegan, dairy-free, but also if you're kind of stepping into your wellness journey and you still just want real food, like we have a smoked salmon toast that has real cream cheese that we add fresh herbs to and real smoked salmon. So there's really something for all. And, you know, that healthy lifestyle is not going away. If anything, it's trending up. And so, you know, for our current clientele that we also want to keep it new and exciting. So we have our staples, but we also do seasonal specials. We do Toast of the Month, so it's a new toast every month that people can get eager to see what it is, try something new. But we also, some of our clientele is creatures of habits and come in every day for the exact same thing, but that's also amazing as well.
Sure, yeah. We'll come back to you in a second to talk about growth because you guys are a franchise and I want to talk about that. But first, Rich, I want to bring you into the conversation and talk about Mecha. You guys call Mecha both Asian soul food and your neighborhood noodle bar. Now, I have had the pleasure of eating at Mecha because you guys are in my neighborhood now. If you want to watch a video of me stuffing my face with food, not very appealing, but just still go to the NRN Instagram account. You can find that. That idea of Asian soul food, how do you create a concept out of that? What is Mecha? How does Mecha root itself in that idea?
Yes. So how many years do I have to answer that question?
Only about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 'Cause ultimately, that is the opportunity we see for Mecha as a brand. When you talk about your neighborhood noodle bar, you talk about soul food, you're really talking about familiarity, something that speaks to the soul. And how do you do that with a type of cuisine that's so unfamiliar? And we see that as the big white space for Mecha, where in America, you kind of have your rotation of things that you eat and take out. You have the thing between bread, whether it's a burger, a toast, a chicken sandwich. You have your tacos of the world and your burritos in Mexican food. You have your pizza and your pasta and Italian food. And then there's Chinese food or Asian food. And for most of America, it's Chinese takeout. Right? So how can you redefine that concept of Chinese food to kind of really touch base on all of Asia and do it so in a way that's craveable, do it so in a way where it speaks to you. And one of our biggest mantras is that we take Chinatown to Main Street. And we do that by creating an envelope that's inclusive, an envelope that's accessible between design and music and cocktails, and then use our product and our heritage and our integrity to Vietnamese cuisine and Asian cuisine to show somebody something different.
Yeah. You are a part of this company with your childhood best friend, Tony Pham. It's a really remarkable story. I love the story of how you guys came together over fried quail.
Fried quail.
Yeah, it's amazing. In second grade, that stuck with me. So how is that partnership key to growing Mecha? Because you guys have said Mecha evokes the vibe of who you were when you were growing up. Explain what that means.
Yeah, so for us, it's this idea that we're both sons of immigrant parents. So both of our parents took a tremendous risk and kind of reimagined what the future for them could look like. And because of that, we live in a state of gratitude. And for us, it's important to find a way to build a company that's not just transactional, but transformational. Transformational not just in what it does for the consumer in terms of adding something new to the rotation of 5 favorite spots, but transformational for the people that we work with, transformational for ourselves. So we truly see Mecha as a platform, and one of the best ways that in partnership we can grow that platform is to always take the position of trying to understand. So the level of love and respect between me and Tony is so deep that we don't care who's right or wrong. We don't care who has the best idea. We actually genuinely want to understand the other person. And for some of our team members who are here, they know that those bickering sessions could be 2 minutes long, 2 hours long, 2 weeks, or 2 years. But ultimately, that bickering is trying to fully understand someone. And if we can always stay committed to that, once we understand each other, we can make the decision that's going to win. And that's ultimately what matters.
And we'll dig into Mecha's growth and how you guys lean into that partnership here in a bit too. Logan, this conversation is not about me, but Putt Shack. I've been to 2 of your Putt Shacks, and Louisville and Scottsdale.
Great.
And I have a blast, and you're about to open in Columbus, and my kids are gonna love it. But what's key to this concept? Because it's mini golf in a very tech-forward environment with great food and beverage. How does that all come together into the magic of Putt Shack?
Yeah, sure. So we did actually just open our 19th location yesterday, and we've got our 20th coming online here in November. So major milestone for us then. If you're not familiar with Putt Shack, all the plans that you had for after this conference, scrap them and go to Putt Shack in the Gulch. We're just down at 12th and Grundy, and it's a great venue. So we are tech-enabled mini golf, started by the founders of Topgolf, actually, same founders, no affiliation otherwise, but all tech-enabled on the scoring. So our golf balls have proprietary technology in them that tracks every shot that you make, so you can't cheat in mini golf anymore in our venues, which my kids really hate. But it does enable a lot more gamification, a lot more competitiveness within the venues. We're trying to get the highest score possible, so we also design all of the holes in-house. So we have things like a beer pong hole, we have a roulette hole. So this is not the mini golf that you grew up going to on the East Coast that I went to anyway as a kid. And that tech really allows us to allow the guests to be focused and be immersed in what they're doing with their friends, their loved ones, their colleagues. And so we couple the mini golf experience with a high-end casual dining experience as well. really scratch kitchen in the back of house, and local things in the menu in Nashville. Like we have, we call them tailpipes, but think of it like a larger version of a spring roll in every location. Here in Nashville, that's filled with pulled pork, drunkard beans, bacon collard greens, and pimento cheese. And then we have flatbreads, shareables, and everything else. And so we are really tech-driven at the end of the day, and we continue to innovate on that front. So.
You were recently named CEO. Congratulations. But you've been with the company for several years. What was your impression of Putt Shack before you were CEO, and now as CEO, what do you hope to do with this company based on that impression?
Sure. See, I've been with the business a little over 5 years now. I come from an investing background and used to help manage a family office in Dallas who invested heavily in this space, given the family's background. And when this came up just as an investment opportunity, it was by far the most compelling multi-unit economic profile I'd seen in any business. And then I had this wild idea to leave a really lifelong family office gig to go run a mini golf business. And I'm fairly confident my parents still think I'm insane for that. But the biggest appeal for me was the multi-generation span of the demographic profile within the guests. So from my kids, my youngest is 7, he comes and plays all the time, and I can still take my parents or my kids' grandparents as well on my wife's side. And mini golf translates across the board, so my wife may not want to go pick up golf clubs and swing at, say, a driving range concept, which we don't have to go into that, but she will go out and play with her friends in mini golf, and the accessibility was really key for me. So.
Sure. Rodney, whole hog barbecue. You know, I lived in the South for 12 years, so I know the conversation around barbecue and the passion behind barbecue. Why is whole hog barbecue that you're doing the best barbecue?
Because it's me. Well, you know, first of all, hello everybody. I was taught to speak when I walk in the room. You know, growing up, we did whole hog barbecue all the time. It was a thing in the South because we farmed and we lived in rural areas, and everybody celebrated with whole hog barbecue at the end of the harvest season. So for me, it was a gathering, a time for everybody to get together and to make it the best that you can, because lots of people in the area did whole hog barbecue, and they kind of competed a little bit. So we would always put our best foot forward in making the best hog, telling the story through the hog, making sure that it's the most consistent, and the next hog would be better than the previous one.
Sure.
So consistency and always trying to make sure there's a lot of flavor in that whole hog. I mean, I just did it a few days ago in Houston. The amount of seasoning that it calls for, it was there, but because I wanted it to be better than the hog before, I kind of do a little extra in there. But for me, it's just trying to make the next one better than the previous one.
So to that end, I mean, obviously there's such tradition in what you're doing in history. It kind of makes me think actually of Texas Roadhouse, this idea of like a legacy of one thing, but also the need to push forward into the future and modernize and take it to different communities. So how do you find that balance? Because you're scaling with 5 locations. How do you recognize that history of the product, the tradition of it, but also open, modern restaurants?
Man, it's kind of a challenge to open modern restaurants the way that we do whole hog, because we use open fire. And a lot of people they're totally afraid of open fire. So you got to find the right neighborhood for one. For example, if you're in a desert area or somewhere where it's dry, they may say, we don't want to open flame. So you got to find the right place. You got to find where you're celebrated, where barbecue's appreciated, because I've been some places where they kind of lift their noses up at you like, what is this? But you have to find the right location, the right spot, and you have to make sure that everybody that's in the pits can be comfortable. For example, we have air-conditioned pit rooms now. That's something totally unheard of. Mm-hmm. So we added air to the room to keep smoke coming out of the room. So now the pit masters are actually working in a kitchen setting. That's a challenge in a lot of places when it comes to ventilation through floors, when it comes to fire marshals who just don't understand what we do, because that's a big challenge. But it's a fine line in taking that modern thing and adding that traditional in there, because wherever I go, I definitely want to cook with wood and do whole hog barbecue the way that we did it back in the day, all the same time making the pit masters comfortable.
Yeah. That's great. We'll talk here in a little bit, too, about how you've partnered with Nick Pahakis and his group to grow. But Dario, let's talk about Tacombi first. Now, Tacombi has this incredible story. You started selling tacos out of a Volkswagen in the Yucatan Peninsula. And then now you are based out of New York City and you have a taco concept that's quickly scaling. How do you get from that Volkswagen in the Yucatan to this quickly scaling taco concept?
Well, it's an adventure, I guess, pretty much, right? I think when we were on the beach in Mexico, it was one of the most, I think, interesting parts of the whole experience was we were talking with guests from all over the United States. And this gentleman I remember from Phoenix one day showed up and was like, we'd love to have this in Phoenix. And I just kind of started hearing that over the years, being there on the beach. And the dream was always to take it to the United States and take it around the world. And back in 2008, we had that little nudge. There was the swine flu pandemic. And so that kind of, in 6 months, it shut down all of Playa del Carmen, all tourism in Mexico. And I didn't want the brand to die then. So we got some friends together and we literally put the VW bus on a boat in a port right next to Cancun, and we shipped it to Miami, and then I trailered it up to New York. And then from there on, I think like all of us that work in hospitality, it's a ton of hard work and just doing our best every day. And I think as we've grown over the years, we've just tried to figure out with each step of growth how we can do it better, right? And so once we got more purchasing power, we figured out how we could get better ingredients. And that's just been the focus. I think over the years, always, trusting and investing in our team and our people. And I think those two things, the team members that bring it to life every day, and the product, just reinvesting and doing our best there, and that's what's gotten us to this point.
I thought that was going to be a metaphorical adventure, but that was an actual adventure. In a truck on a boat, and wow. Yeah. So then, when you look at the Mexican category here in the U.S., obviously pretty saturated, and you have concepts like Chipotle that are around the country. How do you position Tacombi in that marketplace and find its distinct position?
Well, there's a couple things. I think it's at its core, the experience that we've created is very much rooted in the heritage of that adventure that I told you about. So when you walk in, you feel, I think, the soul in any of the Tacombis that you visit. So we've been meticulous about all the little details that make up the customer experience. But I think there's this other trend, which is a big one in our industry, and it's that a quarter of the people in the United States that work in hospitality are of Hispanic background. And a lot of those are of Mexican background. And so for us, the brand and what it represents, when we opened up the first taco stand in Mexico, we wrote in our company constitution that we had a responsibility to give back to Mexico, or to give back, better said, to the people from which we had borrowed this idea. And so that philosophy that it doesn't belong to us, that it belongs to Mexico and to its people, is present in Tacombi. And so I think when you are growing a brand, it's all about the people. And so there's something, I think, that in Tacombi and its DNA that speaks to a large part of the population in hospitality about this connection to their heritage, to their roots. And so they bring a great deal of pride to the table every time we serve a taco. And I think that's what's really been the driving force behind the success there.
Sure. Yeah, and likewise, we'll talk about the growth of that and how you guys have brought on some investment to fuel that growth. But finally, Peter, let's talk about Angry Chicks. I think it's appropriate to talk about Angry Chicks sitting in the cradle of hot chicken, which is Nashville. You are not based in Nashville, however. You guys are out in Southern California. Tell me about Angry Chicks, how you guys have leaned into the popularity of hot chicken, but also set your own course to rise above the competition.
Good question. The chicken category is a very competitive category, and there's some fantastic, wonderful chicken brands out there. So how are we going to differentiate ourselves? How are we going to be successful in this category? And we, as a brand, focus on three very simple principles. The first principle is the quality. We really are passionate or fanatical about the quality of our product. And at the end of the day, the customer primarily comes to your restaurant because the food tastes good. And we're just very proud of the food that we serve. And we only have 7 items on the menu, 7 items. And so these better be the best darn items that we can possibly serve our customers. The second is value, the value proposition that we've been hearing about. We operate in California. We're going to have 28 restaurants in California. And the folks that operate in California, they do not make it easy for you there. So on our menu are 7 items. We have not changed the portion sizes in 4 years. We have not raised prices in 4 years. So we serve our 7 items in large portions, and I believe our guests really are grateful for the size of the portions, and the majority of them actually get to-go containers to enjoy the following day. So the value proposition is very, very important for us. And the third principle is the guest experience. Just to be memorable, just to be remarkable, just to have your guests leave and share that, hey, we went to Angry Chicks, the food was good, and that was a memorable experience. We spend no money on advertising. All of our business is word of mouth. And so we just focus on those 3 items, and it's simple, but it seems to be paying off.
Can you tell me, because chicken, my goodness, like the rise in the chicken category is nuts. Can you tell me about what does quality mean in the chicken category today? Because you talk about that high quality product. How do you make sure that quality product rises above so many other chicken chains?
Good question. So our passion around quality comes in 3 different components. One is just the training of the team members. We hire and train people who have passion for the food they work on and the guests that they serve. So training is very, very important to us. We're fanatical about the training. The second is the freshness. Everything that we make and serve is produced that day, is made that day. So our rice and macaroni and cheese and coleslaw, we make it every hour on the hour. The chicken that you order, if it's a tender or a slider, it's made to order, and we season it to the 6 different spice levels. So freshness is incredibly important. And finally is the ingredients, the specific ingredients. And you mentioned chicken. We spend millions of dollars on chicken, on fresh chicken, halal chicken that gets delivered multiple times during the week. People have said, hey, you could save 25% on your COGS or your food costs. Get it frozen or make it non-halal. People will notice the difference. Our macaroni, I think we tested 13 different types of macaronis. I know more about macaroni than I ever want to know, but we selected one that will taste the best, that will have the best guest experience. It happens to be the most expensive, but we did not want to compromise on that quality. And same thing with all the seasonings. David, the founder, spent years selecting those seasonings. So we're just very passionate about quality, and I believe our guests today are looking for good quality products at a good value.
Not sure how much there is to know about macaroni, but if you want to know more about macaroni, this is the guy. Let's talk about growth with all of you. And we'll just stick with you, Peter, because I want to talk first about franchising. So Peter and then Brianna, let's get back around to you. But Peter, starting with you in franchising, how is that a core part of the Angry Chicks plan for the future?
So franchising is a great way to scale and grow your business, but it's difficult. It comes with a lot of challenges. The exposure that we get at events like this, where I'm humbled by it, and it does bring a lot of attention to your brand. So we do get a lot of potential franchisees that come, and they're well-financed, they're well-capitalized, they're multi-unit, sophisticated franchisees. But I believe that's just half of the equation for a franchise relationship. The other half, which I think is more important, do you share common values? Are your cultures of your organizations similar and compatible? That, I feel, is actually more important. If I can share just a real quick story. Back in my earlier days when I was head of business development for another young up-and-coming brand, I was able to get an attention of a very large franchisee. In fact, he was like number 7 in the United States. He had thousands of restaurants and half a dozen brands. So we put him through the entire process, discovery day, all the way to the very last step. And that is for the franchisee to come in and present their vision and their business plan on how they plan to roll out the company or the brand. His entire presentation was an Excel spreadsheet. And he talked about how over the next 7 years he's going to open up so many restaurants and the top line sales and the EBITDA numbers and how much royalty you're going to make and how much he's going to contribute to the ad fund. And we were just staring at this Excel spreadsheet, and we were kind of looking at the executive team saying, well, what do you do for like recruiting, and how do you train your leaders, and what is your involvement in the community? And he says, oh, I've got a division for that. The division will handle all of that. And we soon came to realize that we were just a little cell in this massive Excel spreadsheet that he was bundling up to probably sell to a private equity firm one day. So we thanked him for coming, and he left, and we had a debrief. And the owner of our company, the brand, stood up and said, Peter, thank you for bringing that qualified franchisee in, but we're going to pass on him. And I go, what? And I was so disappointed and disheartened. I just lost a big bonus. But now, fast forward, I get a little bit of wisdom and a reflection. That was the best darn decision that brand could have ever made. And I use that filter now when I'm at Angry Chicks as we filter and go through the prospective franchisees. Yes, to be qualified with finances and infrastructure is great, but you have to share passion for the quality and passion for your customers. So we have a very strict process, but that story, that event kind of shaped my selection process going forward for the brand.
Yeah, I'm sure. Brianna, let's talk about Toastique and how you guys are franchising. You guys are quickly franchising. I think I get an email about a new Toastique location every 5 minutes. That's not true, but there's been a lot of them, and it's impressive. You guys have a lot in the pipeline. Why was franchising the model you guys went with for something that is definitely more upscale, fast casual concept?
Yeah, I think, once we really found that we were onto something, and being in DC is very touristy, so people were like, oh, you need to franchise this, or I want to open one, or you need to come here. When we were kind of weighing our options, we ultimately decided franchising, but solely looking for owner-operators, because in my eyes, someone that has the same passion, like he mentioned, is so important. Being passionate about the brand, it's going to make your life easier getting up and going to sell this every day. And having their own time and money and reputation involved in it, they should care more than a manager we're going to send across the country to go represent Toastique. And so that's how we are choosing our partners, is having that passion and something that we set the expectation right from the beginning. We're like, do you like people? Do you like building a team? Are you good at it? Is it something you enjoy? Because everything else we can teach you. We can teach you everything about the brand. We're going to give you all of our recipes, and we have an in-house architect, and we have everything else for you. But if you don't enjoy being around people and can't manage a team and can't get people to rally behind you and have that same passion, then it's going to be very hard for you to be successful. So that's how we've been choosing our partners, and wherever they happen to live, finding a great location, and also being comfortable in the grassroots marketing, which I know that Jerry mentioned, and a lot of people have mentioned. It's so important, having that owner-operator, being part of the community, and that's one of our goals. Is as we grow, no matter how big we get, our company is always going to feel small, because people are going to know the owners of their Toastiques in their community, and that's something that's really important to us, to have that personal and localized touch.
Well, it's interesting because, of course, fitting such a unique niche as you do, you could get these major franchise groups saying, we want that, boutique toast, fast casual as part of our portfolio, but it seems like that's not the direction you want to go. You specifically want to go with some of these more mom and pop franchises.
Yeah, we do, and, it can help if someone has restaurant experience, but it's all about leadership. Our top performers, the one guy worked 20 years on Wall Street, the other one's a real estate agent, the other one's a nurse, and they're top performers with no restaurant industry, but they have that passion. And it is just so important to us as we grow, is having those owner-operators. And something I always say too, I'm like, I know people aren't franchising to be a store manager for the rest of their life and be in the store every day, but the first 6 months to a year, expect to be there every day, open and close. Build the team, train the team. As we all know, turnover is very high in restaurants, but it's not impossible when you have great leadership. So being committed to your team, so when you are able to step back and focus on store 2 or 3, you have that core team in each store that you can trust, and rely on them to keep brand standards where they're supposed to be, now that you're working a little bit more in growth instead of in the day-to-day.
Sure, that's great. Rodney, I want to go to you. Thinking about your position in the industry. You're a James Beard Award winner. You've gotten incredible acclaim. And it would be easy to just say, oh, I just want to have this one restaurant and kind of lean into that restaurant. But you're growing, you're scaling, and you're doing that with Pahakis Restaurant Group, a group out of Birmingham. Tell me about the decision to partner with Nick Pahakis and his group and how that's helping you find these new locations and new markets.
Yeah, I met Nick back, I want to say 2009 maybe, and we hung out a lot, we talked business a lot, and he was very experienced in the restaurant business, especially on the scaling side of things. And I'm coming from a mom and pops, I was like, you know, how can I grow? What's the next step? And he and I had a lot of conversations on how to grow, how to build around the whole hog concept. And all of a sudden I said, well, this guy has proof, let's see if we can just grow this thing. And we partnered up to now, 5 locations, and it was like a learning experience for me because, again, mom and pops, if you know South Carolina and small areas, everything was just sell this, pay your bills, that's it. But to scale it and to turn it loose to so many people, I was very nervous, and still sometimes. But he showed me how he scaled his previous businesses and how to grow. And that gave me a little comfort on making the next step in growing the Rodney Scott's Whole Hog Barbecue.
And he also partners with Sean Brock on Joyland, so he has a real caliber of quality there that must give you some confidence that he's
it gives me some confidence, but then again, you know, doing something for so many years, you still have to see it or watch it operate, because we had a manager once that came in and he was so passionate about the job. And then he got in the pits and he saw how hot it was, how sweaty it was, how long it took. He said, this makes no sense, I can't do this, I'm out. And he left. So you gotta find the right people who are willing to go through the whole procedure and know that they're like-minded on growing the concept, because it's not for the weak, you know? 12 hours just to cook a hog, it's a long time. And finding people to commit to that on a day-to-day basis is tough. But you trust your people. He helped me to learn where the people are, but you still gotta kind of sneak in there every now and again and see what's happening. Make sure nobody's taking shortcuts.
I would be remiss not to mention that you just opened in Nashville.
Yeah.
And so if anybody here wants to try Rodney Scott's Whole Hog Barbecue, after our reception tonight, go over to Broadway, right? Tell us a little bit about the new location.
So our new location opened April 5th. We partnered with Eric Church. The building is called Chiefs, 200 Broadway. 200 Broadway Chiefs.
We have fit about 400 people? Can we get in there?
Hey, we got 6 floors. There's a walk-up window outside, so it's convenient if you don't want to go in. We have breakfast there. You can order food from whichever floor. The 5th floor is where the restaurant's located, and there's a rooftop hangout as well. We can bring food up there. So you all can fit in there, I'm sure.
All right, after the reception tonight, everybody come find me. We're gonna walk over there. Dario, you guys got a pretty unique and significant investment to scale Tacombe. Can you tell us about how that came together and how it's unlocked the potential for you guys as you grow?
Yeah, I was walking down this area close to where our offices are at Astor Place in New York City, and Danny Meyer was in one of their newest Shake Shacks back in 2017. And you know, we struck up a conversation, and I got to know them over the years. And you know, having read his book and having visited their restaurants and having been a fan of Shake Shack from the early days, you know, there was a connection, I think, at that base level of this love of hospitality, right? And I think like what I've gotten to know from them over the years is that, you know, they truly love what they do. And you see it in all the details and all the experiences that they create. And I think that, to me, was just really fundamental in this relationship. You know, we wanted to take Tacombe all around the world. We really think that this experience that exists in Mexico, the way that we do it, that story hasn't been told yet. And so that process of combining execution and storytelling at scale, you know, there's all kinds of opportunities where you can make mistakes. Lots of opportunities where you can make mistakes. And so anyone who's gone through the process knows that it's a learning process, and it's about, like, you know, getting advice and mentorship from people around you. And I think when it comes to putting dollars behind this type of a business, you have to be able to see between the numbers. right? And you know, this idea, and I think all of us that work in hospitality, it's about people, and people are incredibly complex. I have 2 young children, so I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, so I'm just learning about why we are all so complex. And I think, like, as we get into this process of building a people brand alongside our customer brand, you know, the having a partner who can understand, you know, these different sides of the equation has been incredibly helpful. And so I think, like, as USHG has grown, they've really just built an incredible network of like-minded people. And so I think you put those things together, and it's been an amazing partnership. Yep. And then on the side, they're investing in restaurant technology and all that kind of stuff. And so that's always helpful, is to, you know, have someone who's kind of looking around the corner and all those types of things. Yeah, so we've loved it. It's a great partnership.
Awesome. That's so cool. Talking about the concept of partnership, Rich, let's come back to you and talk about Mecha and the partnership of you and Tony again. You said something to me that was so interesting, this idea of that you guys lead as a instinct and intellect. He's instinct and you're intellect. Can you tell me what that means and how you guys have leaned into that to grow?
Yeah, so for us, you know, it's always about knowing your strength and making sure you surround yourself with people who are going to complement that strength. And for Tony, it's his ability to feel something. This is where the brand needs to go. But he doesn't actually know if it makes sense. So he looks at me and says, does this make sense? Is this logical? Is this reasonable? What do the numbers say? So we're always kind of using that yin and yang between those two to use intellect and instinct to make the best decision for the brand.
Sure. I want to make sure we talk also about Eat Justice. You guys have this incredible program where, is it 50 cents per meal sold?
Per bowl of ramen.
50 cents per bowl of ramen that they bank and then can donate to employee relief causes and other things. Tell us about Eat Justice.
Yeah, so Eat Justice was born of this commitment to a transformational company, and we wanted to leverage capitalism for good. We think that capitalism gets too bad of a rap for being extractive and being depletive of people and resources. So we said, how do you build fundraising into your business model from day one? And for us, that was every bowl of ramen gets an additional 50 cents tacked onto it. And what that does is allow us on a monthly basis to invest in our local community or invest in our staff through COVID relief and things like that. But what it really does is it builds a company culture where it forces your operators inside of your 4 walls to think outside of their 4 walls. And when you can get someone to think about the holistic human experience, you're not only transforming their lives and what you do for them, but you're transforming the lives of everyone that they touch and the communities that they operate in. So for us, Eat Justice is our way to help transformation outside of our 4 walls and the communities that we operate.
That's awesome. Give us a glimpse at Mecha's growth, what your plan is.
Yeah, so we start off in Connecticut. We have 5 units in our heritage market. Our first jump was to Boston. That was the natural leap for us, just being drivable, still being in the Northeast. And this year was our big leap of faith to kind of prove that the concept can have national aspirations and kind of reimagine America's relationship to Asian cuisine outside of Chinese takeout. And we opened up in DC, we opened up in Columbus, we opened up in Denver. So all that has happened in the last 6 months, and our plan is to, you know, backfill these markets and then continue to look at other areas of opportunity where, you know, we could create a world where spicy beef ramen is something that's typical, because it wasn't more than 30, 40 years ago that sushi was not typical. And I don't think you can go to a single town or city in America right now and not find 5 or 10. But can you find 5 or 10 places doing, you know, Taiwanese beef noodle soup that are not mom and pop, that have the full experience? Probably not. And we think that we can be that bridge to Chinatown.
For sure. All right, Logan, we'll land the airplane here with you, talking about Putt Shack's growth. Now, one thing that struck me at both Putt Shacks that I visited is how truly massive they are. How do you find real estate to grow? What does growth look like?
Sure. So our stores are on average about 25,000 square feet. So they are probably significantly larger than most people's boxes here. You know, as I said earlier, the focus really is on mini golf first, and then food and beverage is strong right behind that. We've been very fortunate. We focus on traditionally densely urban populated markets with some suburban locations. So like in Columbus, where we're coming, we'll be slightly outside of the city. But we typically partner with either newer developments that are coming online. So like our very first store in the U.S. Is in West Midtown in Atlanta. We were the anchor retail tenant for a mixed-use development there. But we can also go extremely urban. So in like Miami, we're in Brickell City Center. In Boston, we're in the Seaport District. And so it's really about finding landlords there. We are long-term partners with our landlords. And so we've got another 6, 7 stores that are in development right now. And we're starting to look at other markets outside of the U.S. as well. So.
Tell me about maintaining these, because again, if you haven't been in a Putt Shack, there are lights everywhere, noises, sounds. My ADD kicks in, and I'm like looking all over the place. Tell me how you guys maintain a location such as that.
Sure. I mean, one of the best things about the business is because we are tech-enabled, we can enhance the venues and the experience from a technology perspective. And so if you haven't been, it's unique to our Dallas location right now, but we are rolling this new product out in other locations soon, which is called the Challenge Hole. So most of our venues are 9-hole course mini golf. We typically have 4 courses. The Challenge Hole product that we've developed is, think of it as a bay that you'll spend 90 minutes in where you eat, drink, and play all in one location. And we've developed a bunch of proprietary games around that. So think of things like our version of Duck Hunt through mini golf. No dog coming and laughing at you when you miss it, but you can still come and play. And we still bring that same high-end food and beverage offering. We continue to innovate from a technology perspective and keep the experience fresh. So we're developing a tournament mode right now that'll come out hopefully in the next 12 months or so, and continue to really innovate on that. We've been asked several times, do we want to do things outside of mini golf? And we really think we know our niche, and so we're kind of focusing on that.
Yeah. Well, I did this for Rodney, so I'll do it for you too. There is a Putt Shack in Nashville, so if you want to experience the concept after you go to Rodney Scott's, you go to Putt Shack and check it. Anybody else have a location in Nashville? Oh, there's one. Okay, we got Toastique in Nashville. Hey, amazing. We're going to do the tour after the reception tonight. Come find a bus with me. We'll find a bus that'll take us there. Can we give these guys a round of applause?